Good morning. Good morning. Hi, everyone. Welcome in. Welcome in. Thank you, Brenda. That was beautiful. I hope everybody got a chance to hear it. My name is Melly. I'm a member of the Chalice team, and I also direct CRE downstairs. Unitarian Universalism is a religious tradition that values freedom in religious thought and journey. We uphold the unity of our interconnections, connections to each other, to all of life, and to the precious universe of which we are a part. We affirm the universality of love and hope as we journey together in community, and we welcome you, whoever you are at this moment, and wherever you are in your spiritual journey. For those of you joining us online, welcome. If you're new, please check out our website, uufayetteville.org, for more information. And if this is your first time, I hope you filled out one of the visitor cards out in the lobby today. If you did not, there is a white card in the seat back in front of you. Please make sure that we get that so that we can get you on our email list and let you know everything that goes on here. Later in the service, we will have a time where you're invited to come forward and drop a stone symbolizing your joys and concerns into our bowl of water. If you have a joy or concern you'd like to share, we invite you to fill out one of the yellow cards. You can find those in the seat back in front of you, or if you're in the back row, back behind you. There's a place on there to indicate if you want it to be shared or confidential. Make sure if you want it to be confidential, you let us know. If you fill out a card, you can bring it forward at the time for joys and concerns. If you're online, you can write your joys and concerns in the comments at that time. Please note that all those comments will be public. We have no way of filtering that out. If you have a need for hearing assistance, our AV Tech David can help you out. Children are always welcome in our service, but there is a staff nursery available downstairs if you prefer, and you can hear the service in the foyer as well. Please remember to silence your cell phones as we enter into our service. Nobody will be offended if you pull it out right now and check. I'm so happy and pleased that the Reverend Dr. Stephen Gaines will be here with us today speaking. And now I will invite Leanda and Emily to come light our chalice.
We're going to do something a little bit different this morning in observance of the Reverend Dr. Stevie Gaines talking to us about neurodiversity this morning. We're going to use a little bit of a different chalice lighting. Start.
We light the chalice for the ones who arrived disheveled, carrying questions, contradictions, grief half-healed, and dreams still raw.
You deserve a place that welcomes your becoming, that knows your fire is not too much, your silence not too little.
A place that sees your shadows and still reaches for your light.
You deserve a community that listens when you speak your truth, that sits with you in turmoil and rises with you in joy, that believes in your voice even when it trembles.
You deserve a circle that brings you hope and coffee and poetry. A place to rest and a place to rise.
You will get coffee here. Let this flame be that place, not perfect, but possible, not without cracks, but full of light. Welcome home.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Reverend Dr. Stephen Gaines. Friends call me Stevie. You may call me whichever you want. I have they, them pronouns, and you may use any and all pronouns for me. I was your minister for about 18 months a few years ago when you were in transitional chaos. And I still remember my time here fondly. I think of you frequently. And I was thrilled when Rev Renee told me that the Chalice team wanted me to do a service about neurodiversity, one of my special interests. I'll say more about neurodiversity in a few minutes. First, let me assure any neurodivergents in the room that I am multi-neurodivergent. Why else would you listen to me talk about this? Neurodiversity relates to the fact that our brains all function in different ways, although it is more than that. No two brains work exactly the same way. And that is beautiful. It's part of the beauty of the earth, which is in our opening hymn. That's number 21. Let's sing it now.
Hello, please rise as you're willing and able to sing For the Beauty of the Earth. It's hymn number 21 in your gray hymnal.
Okay, our time for all ages is unusual enough today that I'm doing it. Because our brains work differently, different activities work better for different people in a service such as this. That shapes our time for all ages this morning, which I will explain after this reading from Unitarian Universalist Minister Reverend Dawn Shea Cooley. The diversity of the human species is astounding. The fact that we can gather together for common experience is nothing short of a miracle. Today, let us celebrate some of those differences. Let us celebrate those who worship best through music, for whom the Holy speaks through rhythm and harmony, pitch and meter. Hi, Brenda. Let us celebrate the interpersonal worshiper who finds the sacred in relationships and in community. Let us celebrate those who worship best through the visual world, for whom the divine speaks through the aesthetics of a space. Let us celebrate the verbal and linguistic worshiper, for whom words and languages, stories and poetry are sacred sources of joy and revelation. Let us celebrate those to whom the divine might be found in logical reasoning, in mathematics, and through critical thinking. Let us celebrate the intrapersonal worshiper, those who experience the holy as they listen to the still, small voice within themselves. Let us celebrate those who worship best through their bodies, those to whom the divine speaks through movement and physical action. And let us celebrate the naturalistic worshiper, for whom the sacred is found in plants and animals, mountains and valleys, deserts and forests, oceans and streams. Today, may we find a way to connect with the ultimate, each according to our own ways of understanding and experiencing the world. May we bring our whole selves to this worship service and celebrate the diversity among us. Now, since our brains work differently, different activities work for us. So our time for all ages today is called Choose Your Own Adventure. Those were the books I read when I was a kid. Choose your own activity. Adventure works. Each of you gets to choose what to do. You can choose from the provided, we have some provided materials here. And let's see, we have some activity sheets, coloring page, connect the dots, blank paper, so you can draw, you can write, you can make a paper airplane, you can do origami, you can fan yourself. And we have lots of different utensils for writing and coloring and drawing. And so some of you benefit from physical movement, as we just read. So you are welcome to come up here and choose. If you want something from up here, but you need to stay in your seat, or you want to stay in your seat, just raise your hand. I will make sure that I or someone else gets you something from up here. So we're going to have a few minutes for you to get what you want from here. If you prefer to do something else, that is fine. If you want to just sit quietly, if you want to meditate, if you want to read, there are some great readings in the back of the gray hymnal. We still have gray hymnals? Yes. Okay. So you get to choose how you spend the next couple of minutes. And depending on what you're doing, you most likely will not finish in the time for all ages. We're going to move on. And that's okay. You can keep working on your activity. Have you ever been in school and the teacher didn't want you doing anything else? That's not this. We are going to be very neurodiverse today, and we're going to be doing different things. Organized chaos. So let's have a few minutes. Brenda will play a little bit of gentle music for us, and you're welcome to come up here and get whatever activity supplies that you want. And this is for all ages. All kinds of cool things here. We have this. Let's see. We have some cool Rubik Cube type things. There's some galaxy goo. Some cars. More crayons than you could ever use. Both of you did awesome.
Okay, we are moving to the next thing, but don't stop what you're doing. You are free to continue that as long as you want. One of the most vital things about building community is knowing each other. So we set aside a special time in our Sunday morning services every week to share with one another our joys, our concerns, life transitions. Am I on the wrong thing, Fawn? Oh, I thought you made that face at me. Okay. Okay. Our life transitions, and to do that, we drop a stone in water. And if you would like to do that, we would invite you to take part in that special ritual. If you are on Facebook, you can share your joys or concerns in the comment box. Please know that those are going to be public. We don't have any way to keep those not visible. If you have a yellow card that you filled out, bring that forward and you can give it to me. If you'd like to come forward now. let's have a moment of silence as we contemplate the week ahead, or what we have coming up, or what's going on right now. Brenda, will you play us a little? Oh, I'm sorry. It's a moment of silence. Don't listen to me. All right, if you'd like to start coming back into the room. Melly's going to do our offering for us.
The offering is a sacrament of the Free Church. It is supported by the voluntary generosity of all who join with us. Each week we receive an offering for the support of this congregation and often for the support of others who are working for a better world. To be honest, we need your support for the day-to-day necessary running of this fellowship. There is another truth here as well, a truth that says some of us need to make an offering, not only because the fellowship needs our support, but because we need to remind ourselves of our own generosity. Because the act of giving something is a tangible way of acknowledging the gifts we have been given. The offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared hopes and values.
I think it was early 2022 when we were planning a service in April. And at first I was thinking something about autism because I knew that that month was typically Autism Awareness or Celebration Month. And I didn't know a lot about autism or neurodiversity in general at the time, even though I had received my first diagnosis as a child. We didn't have the language or the community or the literature at the time. Nobody taught me that there were other people somewhat like me. Nobody told me that I could live life as myself. Instead, they medicated me and scolded me and tried to make me fit the mold of what they expected me to be. I've dealt with that my whole life. I still deal with it. In discussing with some members of this group, we decided to make the service about neurodiversity in general. That was a great experience. I learned a lot. And then I didn't think much more about it for a couple of years. And then in my job as an educator, I found I had a student one semester with more of a struggle than most of my students. And I was committed to doing everything that I possibly could to help that student succeed. And so we met countless hours beyond class time. Outside of class time, outside of my office hours, I spent hours a week with this student. I had no clue what I was doing. I had not been taught how to help neurodivergent students succeed, even though I had been a neurodivergent student my entire academic career. No, what I had learned was how to fit into a neurotypical system. And so that's the way I'd been teaching. And so I tried strategy after strategy after strategy and eventually went to the literature, of course the scholarly literature, trying to figure out how do I do this. The student passed, got a good grade. I don't take credit for that. But his experience set me on a path of learning. And I am no expert. So if you have a reason to listen to me talk about neurodiversity today, it is not because I'm an expert. It's because I am a neurodivergent who has spent time learning about neurodiversity and neurodivergence. And I want to share some of that. But I'm far from an expert. But what's funny is that even though I'm not an expert, colleagues call on me as a consultant when they're dealing with neurodivergent children. And people ask me to do professional development sessions about neurodiversity, especially neurodiversity and pedagogy, teaching, learning. And the reason that I get to do that is because the world knows so little about it so far. And society in general is not paying enough attention, and even the educators working with neurodivergent students don't know what they're doing, largely. And so I'm trying to learn, and then I talk with other people because they're like, oh, neurodivergent dude. So I want to share a little bit with you today, and we'll talk about what neurodiversity is and is not, because there's a little bit of problem with our understanding of neurodiversity. And then I want to share with you a little bit of some common experiences that neurodivergent people have. This will not be an exhaustive list, and we'll try to avoid stereotyping. And I'll mention a few resources that might be helpful to some of us. And then I want to get into a little bit of spirituality and theology without going too deep, and share some Unitarian Universalist perspectives related to neurodiversity and neurodivergence, and end with a little bit of call to action toward a spirituality of curiosity. So first, what is neurodiversity, and what is it not? The what is it not will be included in this discussion of what it is. So part of my role as a professor is serving as a faculty advisor for our Neurodiversity Club at Midland College. And I was involved in the founding of that club and wrote this passage, which is in the club's constitution. And it says that the term neurodiversity refers to the many ways in which our brains work, and the term neurodivergence applies to any brain functioning that is outside of whatever is considered normal. That's in quotation marks for a reason, or neurotypical. Neurodivergence includes the autism spectrum, ADHD, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, dyslexia, dyspraxia, bipolar, OCD, social anxiety, and a lot more. That's kind of a general overview of what it is. But it's more than just that diversity of brain functioning. And we can talk about neurodiversity as three different things. And I chose words that start with M, so you get three M's. First, it's a recognition of the multitude of ways in which our brains function. So that's what we've been talking about so far. Our minds function differently. If you just do a quick search online, you can find tons of sources confirming that our brains are all different. They all function in different ways. Our brains seem to start different, and then, of course, our life experiences and our learning and our relationships and all kinds of factors contribute to how our minds develop. So our brains are all different, and scholars, scientists, have now, neurodiversity and neurodivergence can be studied from multiple academic disciplines, and it is. It's a fantastic interdisciplinary field. But the science of all of this likes to put brains on kind of a chart, kind of a bell curve. And then people draw lines and say that the brains between the lines are normal, and the ones outside the lines are abnormal. So we have neurotypicality in the middle. Neurodivergence is outside of whatever has been decided to be called the norm. The norm doesn't exist. So first, it's an acknowledgement of the multitude of ways in which our brains function. And here's a little bit of a picture that I grabbed from an article, a piece by neuroscientist Hagar Goldberg. I'm not sure why we don't have any brains on that far side over there. I know there are some. I'm sorry, I didn't make this image. And it's also neurodiversity is also a movement. And neurodivergence and our allies have been raising awareness and appreciation for neurodiversity for decades. So these are the first two meanings of neurodiversity. It's a multitude. It's also a movement. It's also a model for understanding our brain functionings. And this is where we get into a little bit of a problem, and this is where I need to explain what neurodiversity is not, what it is and what it is not. It is a middle way of understanding brain functioning as a whole. So there are three models. The first one is the medical model. This model understands neurodivergence, so brain functioning outside of whatever is considered norm. The medical model considers all the neurodivergent brains as pathological in some way. And this is biologically determined, and it's a disorder, and it requires medication and maybe some other treatments to try to fix this problem. Although, as one of the books that I will mention in a few minutes says, there is no way to cure a neurotype. So this is the older model, the more traditional. This is the medical model. And then there is the social model, which views the problem not as medical or biological, but it perceives the problem to be social or societal. So if I have a neurodivergent mind, and believe me, I do, that doesn't mean that I have to be fixed. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's a problem with me. And if there is a problem, it's more likely that societal systems of various kinds have been designed for neurotypicals without any concern for neurodivergence. And that is what makes it a disability frequently. And so the focus here is not disorders and medications and so forth, but it's an appreciation of just difference. We're just different. We function differently, and the diversity is beautiful. And a lot of people get the social model and the neurodiversity model confused. The neurodiversity model doesn't say that no neurodivergence at all needs any kind of medical treatment. The neurodiversity model is in the middle, and it's a blend of the two, and it acknowledges that sometimes we do need medication. Now, we have different thoughts about medicine and the medical industries and so forth, and the ethics and all of that, and we can have those discussions. But we leave room for the possibility that some of us sometimes might need medication or some sort of medical intervention. It depends on how our neurodivergence is affecting our lives. Right? But the focus is still more on the social construction and celebration of difference and acknowledgement of difference and benefiting from those differences. But it's more of a both and kind of a blend. There's so much diversity in the human population and the human experience. How can we really say, well, it's this for everybody? So neurodiversity is more in the middle. It's more holistic, more of a blend. And this comes from two different scientific journals from the last few years. So let's move on to some common experiences and then some resources. Once again, we want to be careful to avoid stereotypes as much as possible. I'm not saying that all of us experience all of these. These are just some of the most common ones that I've encountered in the literature and in myself and in my friends and the students that I work with. Did I push something wrong, incorrectly? It's not moving. There we go. So one of the most popular experiences of neurodivergence is called masking. And this is the practice of acting neurotypical. When I go to work, well, when I go to work at the college, if I go to work as a UU Minister, I mask sometimes, but not quite as much. Depends on the situation. But if I go to work at college, depending on what I'm doing, I have to mask at different levels, right? If I'm going to have a meeting with administrators, I have to mask a lot. And the more I have to mask, the more draining it is on me, the harder it is, the more depleted I am afterwards, and the more of a break I need. And if I have to mask for a long time, I end up in a situation you don't want to be around. And another one is extreme focus. Earlier, I mentioned special interests. A lot of us have these special interests. These are things that we really focus on. And, one of my diagnoses is ADHD, and people think, oh, this person can't pay attention. No, I'm good at paying attention to certain things, but not other things. And it's not choice for me. It just happens. Some things are easier to... I'm not supposed to be on resources yet. There we go. So focus, and so a lot of us focus intensely on certain things. And of course, that can seem problematic sometimes, and other times it can be extremely helpful. Some of our greatest advances, developments, whatever, in our history have been because of this. Just look up some of the most famous geniuses in history, and they had this neurodivergent experience. And a lot of us have a fascination with various kinds of patterns in nature, in human experience, and so forth. And so I get to hear a lot of conversations about patterns. And a lot of us do really well with consistency. Like if we find a way of life, kind of a routine, a rhythm that fits well for us, we like that to continue. We like to know what to expect. And then when that gets messed up a little bit, we might feel messed up a little bit. And so change can be hard sometimes, especially if it's just thrown on us with no explanation, with no invitation for our input. We feel this lack of control over our own lives, and it gets messy. If you have ever worked with me closely, you know that. And then a lot of us do well with clear, direct communication. And this is huge for me when it comes to expectations in various kinds of relationships. Work relationships, life-sharing romantic relationships, pretty much every kind of relationship. If there are any expectations involved, I need them very clearly spelled out, preferably on paper, so that I can go back and look at them occasionally to see if I'm meeting the expectations or not. Because if they aren't there, I'm not going to know, and it's very likely that I'm just going to not even think about something that I was supposed to be doing. In fact, just recently, I had a conversation with my boss at the college about this. And, I'd had a very interesting situation, and I handled it pretty well. But he said, "Why didn't you do this?" And I was like, "That's a great idea. The reason I didn't do it is because I didn't think about it." Right? I didn't know that was an expectation. It makes sense. Let's make it an expectation. Let's do it. It's great. And then there's also demand avoidance. And sometimes this is called pathological demand avoidance. I tend to use that word. I prefer to use the word pathological sparingly and carefully. So I just call it demand avoidance. A lot of us would prefer to be asked to do things in ways that don't seem like commands. Some of you who have worked well with me know this. Sometimes if I get something that seems like a command, especially if it's from somebody who doesn't have the authority to tell me what to do, then I'm very disoriented a little bit. Like, why is this happening? Why is this person talking to me like they're my boss? And I might respond in a way that seems inappropriate, or I might just not respond at all. Because I just move on with life. And then it's too uncomfortable, I'm not going to think about it. And so sometimes when I'm communicating with other neurodivergents, I have to think through, like, what might work for this person? And it varies, depending on the people. A lot of us have issues with sensitivity and overstimulation. I have found this a lot over the last few months as I've spent a ton of time in 2 different hospitals in 2 different cities with my kid. Our healthcare systems are not designed for neurodivergent parents, not at all. It's just surviving has been a battle. And with the sensitivity thing, we handle this in various ways, but I usually have these little earbuds with me. So if I'm hearing too many different things and all the different sounds are fighting in my head, I have earbuds that help me focus on what I need to focus on and not the other stuff. And then there's this thing called the double empathy problem. And it's a great idea. I appreciate the scholar who wrote about this and kind of popularized it. So the double empathy problem basically is this observation that neurotypicals tend to communicate more effectively with each other and neurodivergents tend to communicate more effectively with each other. That is true, I mean, based on my experience, but there's more there. Because from firsthand experience, I can tell you that close relationships between, well, let's just say communication between a neurodivergent and a neurotypical can be great and it can be problematic. And that same level of communication between 2 neurodivergents can also be problematic and also great sometimes. Because we can have incompatible neurodivergent communication styles. And I'm not real sure that it has to be a problem. It's just something that we need to be open about and talk about, because when we just ignore it, the communication doesn't really improve. And maybe you can think of some other experiences, common neurodivergent experiences, of course, fidgeting in different ways. Some of us do it with toys. I usually do it with my body parts, like bouncing my leg or something. Somebody will say, hey, are you nervous? Is something wrong? I'm like, no, I'm just multi-neurodivergent. This is what I do. So Stephen Shore, a special education professor who studies autism a lot, and this can be applied to a lot of neurodivergence. Stephen Shore says that if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. You don't know autism as a whole. And we can apply that to all of neurodivergence and neurodiversity. We are different. And okay, let's move on to resources. Now, as you know, I work in education, and a lot of my work is quasi-scholarly. So whenever I needed to learn, I went to the academic literature. I started with the journal articles, and then I moved to the books. I know that a lot of people start with TikTok and Reddit and so forth. So this might not be your way, but if you don't know anything and you start here, this can get you to more of the social media if you want. These are some books that I have found very helpful. One is Unmasking Autism by Devin Price. And then Divergent Mind, Thriving in a World That Wasn't Designed for You by Janira Nierenberg. And this book's target audience is women, and I got a lot out of it. And then the other one, okay, this one is not quite as popular, Authoring Autism on Rhetoric and Neurological Queerness. As a rhetorician, I loved it, but I'm weird. Okay, let's move on to both of us advanced, and this one's working now. Okay, so then there's, Unmasking for Life, also by Devin Price, and Devin has come out with some other ones that are helpful too, like Unlearning Shame and Laziness Does Not Exist. And Devin is a social psychologist. And then there's the Neurodiversity Affirming Handbook, designed for parents, teachers, and community allies. And then this one, the Autistic Survival Guide to Therapy. Fantastic, because, I have a lot of appreciation for therapists, and a number of therapists have helped me along the way in my life. And but, you know, some parent therapists just don't know much about neurodivergence. And if neurodivergence happens to be your special interest, then it's highly likely that you can find a therapist who knows about neurodiversity and neurodivergence, but not as much as you do. It's an interesting experience. So just a few resources, suggestions. Let's look quickly at some UU perspectives. The first one comes from an article in UU World, the magazine of the Unitarian Universalist Association, where Raymond Seeloff says, "I like the way I am, and while I know that there would be advantages in being typical, for me, they wouldn't be worth the things that I would have to give up. Like, I don't want to give up myself just to fit in." And then in Welcoming Children with Special Needs, A Guide for Faith Communities, Sally Patton says that inclusion is not so much about how we integrate someone into our existing system, but how we open up our whole way of thinking about what we do to make room for someone whose way of being with us is going to be very different. And Chris Wilcox, paraphrasing Sally Patton, says that by attending to the needs and abilities of each individual, we can see beyond diagnostic labels and discover the gifts they bring to a situation. So this neurodiversity can actually be beneficial if we learn how to benefit from all of our various gifts. And then also in UU World, Chris Wilcox says that acknowledging challenges and limitations is not failure, but part of a process in which we must continue to ask, what more could we do? How could we do this better? If we couldn't do it today, can we do it tomorrow? And then UU Minister Reverend Helen McFadden says that this work must be grounded in our theology of seeing the inherent worth and beauty and dignity of every being. First principle, right? It's not every being who is like me. It's every being, full stop. And then, back to Chris Wilcox, and this gets us toward our spirituality of curiosity. By embracing neurodiversity and radical inclusion, UU communities can begin to appreciate and celebrate the full spectrum of human experience. As Reverend Linda Susan Ulrich puts it, inclusion is not an addendum to congregational life, but a central part of our unfolding faith. We say revelation isn't sealed. Well, we've got a lot to learn from people who are not neurotypical. The revelation continues. And this gets us to the spirituality of curiosity. It's a spirituality of learning about the world and existence and humanity and each other. And the more we learn about each other, the better we can work together. And so sometimes people ask me, how can I communicate effectively with this neurodivergent person? I'm like, well, step one is get to know the person. Because I can't tell you one single strategy that's going to work for everybody. You have to get to know the person. The deeper you know the person, the more effectively you can communicate with that person. But that takes time. It takes effort. We have to want it. And that's what I encourage for all of us. Now that you know what it is, what neurodiversity is and is not, and you know about some of the experiences and some of the available resources, and you've heard these UU perspectives about the theology and the spirituality and working together to be the beloved community that we want to be, we can take the time to get to know each other and appreciate the differences in our brain functionings and therefore our communication styles, and learn how to do life together well. May it be so.
Okay, we're gonna do a round. We like rounds, they're fun. So, go ahead and stand up. And we are going to sing it once through in unison and twice in a round. So those of you on this side, and about half of you in the middle, if you so choose, are gonna sing with me, and you're gonna follow me after we sing it in unison. And those of you on that side, and some of this middle section, if you so choose, will sing with my mom. So,
George, sorry.
it's not a problem I have. So, once through in unison, twice in a round. Let's go. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, Very pretty, thank you.
As we extinguish this flame, may we carry its warmth into the world, not as a memory, but as a promise.
A promise that you deserve, a place where your voice matters, where your laughter is treasured and your silence is honored.
You deserve a circle that sees your scars and your strength, your doubts and your radiance, and holds them all with care.
Let us be that circle for one another, a community of fierce welcome, wild grace, and radical hope.
Go knowing you belong here. You always have.
Thank you so much for being here. There are many ways that you could have used this time: sleeping, biking, playing golf, whatever, watching TV, and you chose to be here. And I appreciate that, and I hope it's been helpful or at least interesting for you. And I want you to know that no matter your neurotype, you are a blessing. May you be blessed this week. Amen.